Thank you, Guruji, for providing us the opportunity to come here and work for our own mental wellness and our own health. And congratulations to all of us spending time for our own wellness. So we are here to talk about mental health. Why mental health is necessary? Because Australian Burden of Disease study in 2023 showed that mental health is second to all-cause cancers in Australia as a burden of the disease. In 2024 also, it's a very significant burden of the illness, spending millions and millions and billions probably of dollars for Australian economy. So total cost to Australian economy is about $220 billion. The statistics says that about 2 in 5 Australians will have mental health illness in their lifetime, and 1 in 5 will have 12-month mental illness in their lifetime. And 1 in 7 children of 17 to under 17 years of age will have mental health illness. All these things are costing too much to Australian system. If we kind of classify this a bit further gender-wise, what it says is about self-harm and suicide. Hospital admissions with the self-harm, about 60 to 65% hospital admissions happening because of self-harm are females. About 3,000 suicides are happening each year in Australia. Out of those 3,000, more than 70 to 75% are males. So what we can understand from this data is that more females are suffering with mental illness. Their hospitalization is more when they try to do self-harm, but unfortunately, it's males who are dying more with the suicide. What does it tell us? Any volunteers want to help? What does this data tell us roughly about what is the difference? Why females are more getting hospitalization, but it's more males who are dying?
Women share?
That's the main, very good point, Sumanaji, because females share. They ask for help, they seek help. And that's probably what they do when they try to suicide. They want to bring the attention to bring the help to them. But men, with their own ego, they don't share. They don't seek help. They just suffer. And when they suffer and suffer and suffer, and they try to commit suicide, unfortunately they die. So we need to understand the mental health in females slightly differently from mental health in males, and address it slightly differently. For example, in males, the mental health can present with anger. So anger may be one of the signs of mental health problem in a male. So we need to recognize this is what is the presenting problem and address it accordingly. So these type of differences we need to identify and work for these things. Now, when we know that these things are affecting Australian system so much, we need to ask a question. What is actually mental health? What are we talking about? Do we know what the mental health is? So I'll ask you to share your thoughts about what is mental health. What do we understand about the mental health? Any volunteers want to share what is mental health?
Yes, the situation or the mindset the person is going through.
Yes.
It could be depression, it could be loneliness, it could be no connection to the society.
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Anybody else want to share what is mental health?
It's not about lack of mental illness, but abundance of emotional well-being.
Very good, very good. This is the crux of, so I'll quote the WHO. This is probably one of the most authentic definition I could come across. As she said, the WHO defines mental health as the ability to cope with the common stressors of life, recognize their own ability, learn well, perform well, and contribute to the community. This is the WHO definition of mental health. And it echoes really well with what Guruji always told with the yoga. You have to recognize your own potential, you have to rise above your potential and work for the community health. This is what the mental health is all about. So it's not necessarily absence of mental illness.
Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita, another definition goes beyond WHO, underestimating our potential, putting down ourselves. In Bhagavad Gita talks about Klaibhyamma smagama partha, don't think you are small. There is a huge potential, underestimating our potential itself is a, so everyone, according to that definition, most of us fall in that category.
Yes, that's
Thank
true.
you.
That's true. Thank you. So, as she said, that it's not just absence of mental health illness. It's not just if somebody doesn't have depression or anxiety, I'm fine. No. It's the ability to recognize their own potential, as Guruji said. It's ability to perform well, and then its ability to contribute to the community. This is all the mental health is about. So it actually roots into our day-to-day life so much that if I talk to my boss, if I talk to my colleague, if I talk to my family members, everywhere my mental health comes in, because I have to recognize my own potential, I have to perform well and then contribute to the community. This is all the mental health is about. So I would request all of you to look into how you communicate to your family, how you communicate to your colleague, how you communicate to your boss or team members. Everything includes mental health. Now, let's talk about a scenario. Imaginary character, Mr. Popatlal. So Mr. Popatlal had to do a presentation for his workplace. So he prepared the presentation really well with the contribution of his boss. He was talking to his boss. He prepared all the presentation in the night time. He was working very late. He stored all the presentation on the pen drive and slept. Next day morning, when he wake up, it was already late because he was working very late in the night time. So he rushed to the office. His presentation was about 9 o'clock, but it was already 9 o'clock by the time he reached to the car park. By 9:05, 9:10, he reached into the office. And as soon as he opened his bag for the presentation, he realized he left his pen drive at home. Now the panic starts. His boss was not pleased with him because he had to do presentation and he left pen drive at home. He was panicking and rushing and watching and checking where the pen drive could be. He couldn't find it. He just took a deep breath in, relaxed and said, okay, sorry boss, I'll log into the cloud because this is the time for the cloud, and I will do the presentation online that I have saved on the cloud. But by that time his boss' patience was giving away. So his boss stood up, said, Mr. Popatlal, thank you for your efforts in preparing the presentation. You please leave the meeting room. I will do the presentation logging into the cloud. Mr. Popatlal felt really bad, humiliated. But because his boss said, go out of the meeting room, he went out of the meeting room. He was very angry. He didn't feel well. He left the office. He went home. His wife asked, what happened? He shouted at his wife, leave me alone. You always comment, what happened? Leave me alone. He shouted at her. Couldn't sleep in the night time. Next day morning, he went to his GP, got a sick note for 1 week. Sounds familiar. So he got the sick note for 1 week. He didn't go to the office. He was not eating really well because he was feeling so angry and so humiliated with all that. He was so angry that he started avoiding going towards his office route actually. And he was getting flashbacks as to what is happening. How could his boss do that? He did so much of effort in this presentation, and how could his boss do that? Now a question comes to you. How many of us think that it was a normal behavior for him? Was it a normal behavior? No. How many of us think that it was a reactive behavior? Reactive behavior? How many of us think that he was stressed? How many of us think that it was actually probably a start of mental illness, or he was probably suffering a mental illness already. Some of us think that it could be a start of mental illness. It actually is a start of mental illness if we go medically. He is getting flashbacks, he is avoiding going towards office, he is angry, he is not eating well, he is not sleeping well, and it's happening for a few days. It's probably a mental health illness. So we all at least agree that his behavior was reactive behavior. One more thing we all have to agree. We are all very good in recognizing reactive behavior of others. But do we recognize our own reactive behavior? How many of us agree that we recognize our own reactive behavior? Nobody. So we are all very good in recognizing reactive behavior of others. So my humble request today for the mental health is, please, we all should look into our own reactive behavior and try to change it to reflective or responsive behavior. What does that mean? What it means is that when somebody says to you something, take a pause and think whether you need to respond or not. If you don't need to respond, you don't have to respond. Keep your response with you and react later. So this is what my humble request to all of you would be, changing behavior. Now, how do we change behavior? Before we change, we need to understand how our health is affected. Our health is affected by 3 factors, including mental health. Our internal environment, whatever is within the boundary of my body, is our internal environment. Our external environment, whatever is outside my body's physical boundary, is the external environment, and interaction between 2 environments. This is how our health or our mental health is affected. So we'll go one by one. Our internal health, our internal environment. How is internal environment is affected? All our Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, are related to how do we change our internal environment and how do we change the interaction between internal and external environment. All yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, they all are related to how to change. And this is what we all have to practice as a community as well, as an individual, as a nation. How do we change ourselves? Because if we change ourselves, the world will change. Out of all these yamas and niyamas, each and every one is so important that we can spend hours and hours discussing one, but there are only few that I want to bring to attention today. The first one is Satya, out of yamas. How Satya is related? Satya is truthfulness. How is it related? Well, we need to be truthful in the life, we need to talk truth, we need to avoid telling lies. But there is another practical implication. As I was talking just few minutes ago, if somebody says something bad to you, stop, pause, and think. Think whether they are telling truth or not. If they are telling truth, it means there is something wrong with your behavior. If somebody is saying something bad to you, pause, reflect, and try to change your behavior if somebody is telling truth. But if somebody is not telling truth, then you should have the ability to recognize your own truth, that no, I'm not that, what this person is saying. I'm a different person. This is also a part of truth, Satya. If you are not that, then you don't need to pay attention to that person anyway. Just listen to them and forget about that. Forgive and forget. And just move forward. This is how you change. You don't react, you just respond. So Satya is very important yama that I feel should be mentioned here. The second one I want to mention is tapas. Tapas is basically austerity, the ability to cope with difficulties without complaining. And yesterday Guruji was telling, controlling our tongue is also tapas. And it's not just controlling tongue in terms of talking, it's also taste, eating. If we control our tongue, that tapas improves our health as well as mental health. After tapas, I want to mention Santosha. And I was talking the other day with Guruji about Santosha. Guruji always talk about, we all are into a race. Race to get more dollars, more $1 million from the other person. But Santosha we need to have in our life. And that Santosha will give us the ability to look into myself and work for myself, not into the race that other person has this and other person has that. And that is true for everything, not just for money. Other person has got this car, I don't have that car. Other person is actually doing this yoga pose, I can't do it. No. You can get the motivation through that, but you should not feel jealous about it. Look, other person can do it, I can't do it. No, this is also Santosha. Motivation is different. You get motivated, but don't feel jealous. The last one that I want to mention is Ishwar Pranidhana. Surrender everything to God, because if you take the responsibility, you feel responsible for what is happening. And that's where the problem starts. You feel like, I can't do this, I can't do that, I am bad, I am good. This is where our mental health starts getting affected. Whatever karma we do, if we surrender to God, at least we will not feel stressed about it and our mental health will stay good. After mentioning all these yamas and niyamas, now I will talk a little bit about external environment. There are plenty of things affecting our health, including mental health, from external environment. That can be infections, that can be natural calamities, but there are too many things. But few things that I felt important to mention here. One of them is pregnancy. How pregnancy is important and how pregnancy is external. So when we are in our mother's womb as a pregnancy, anything again beyond the body is external. So mother's womb is external to baby. Anything mother is thinking and doing affects pregnancy. And now there is enough research to actually show that mothers who are depressed in pregnancy, their kids have reduced growth. Their brain cells don't develop very well. The baby after delivery can be irritable. Their cognition can be affected in future if the mother is depressed in the pregnancy. So our Indian culture actually has gone one step beyond. Western world at this stage is thinking how the negative mental health affects the pregnancy. But Indian culture, one step forward. How the positive mental health affects the pregnancy. And to do that, they have devised Garbha Sanskar. And our Rita ji is doing, where is Rita ji? Oh, back. She has done the course in Garbha Sanskar, and Garbha Sanskar is about how to prepare womb for pregnancy. How to give good vibes, good positive mental health of the mother to have a good baby. Because when the baby's mental health is good, as an adult he is going to have good mental health. And this is how we create the future generation, starting right from the pregnancy to the adulthood. The second thing which I feel important to mention here is ahara. Ahara, which is external environment. It's not just food. Anything that we grasp through our senses can be ahara. Like what we see is ahara. What we hear is ahara. Food, of course, is ahara. Ekta will talk about food a little bit more, but just to mention, Guruji always talk about second heart. Whenever we are doing calf raises, he will say calf muscles are our second heart. Similarly, we have a second brain in our body. And our second brain is our guts. Guts are our second brain. They have their own nervous system called enteric nervous system. Gut-brain axis. I'm not sure if somebody has heard about gut-brain axis or not. It's a very hot topic nowadays. Actually, there is a new branch in psychiatry called nutritional psychiatry. What they are doing is they are actually preparing few specialized diets. And they are researching how these diets affect mental health. Could there be a diet which helps to improve depression? Could there be a diet which helps to improve anxiety or schizophrenia? And the research is going on at this stage. So, why this is important? Because whatever we eat, there are millions and millions of microbes in our gut. They break down the food what we eat. And you will be surprised to know that we are all talking about neurochemicals nowadays. Happy hormones, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, oxytocin. About 90% of serotonin, which is happy hormone, gets produced in our gut. Only 10% get produced in the brain. Similar is true for dopamine. A large quantity of dopamine gets produced in our guts and then brain as well. All these happy hormones affect our mental health. So whatever we eat, our brain or mental health will be same. So food, ahar, is very, very important. But Ekta will go in bit more detail about ahara. The last thing that I want to mention is sleep. Sleep is very, very important. Again, it improves neurochemicals and it improves the circulation in the brain, and that's how sleep is very, very important. So what I would like to summarize is that if we look into our own mental health, it will improve the community health. From reactive behavior to reflective behavior. And it starts actually from our own family and our own interaction with day-to-day interactions. And please look into your ahara. That will improve the mental health. Thank you.